Hello, hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome to the Dungeon, right? We have got another league starting up here for you today. Um, this is a new season of OBS, which is the Opelusa Battle Society. I did play in season 1, and I sucked. I drafted a really bad Mega Latios team. And so we're going to try and do a bit better with season 2. Now, let's play the music. Awkward. Yeah, so with my with this, I'm going to do a little bit of a roster go over, but I'm not going to go too in depth with the roster because I don't feel a need. We're going to see as the weeks go on. You're going to learn more about the roster, and you'll just have the battle anyway. But you can see my roster on the left. Pult is Terra Ghost, Rotom Frost is Terra Electric, and Duocean is Terra Psychic. On my opponent's team, Weavile is Terra Dark, Skeledirge is Terra Dark, and Emolga is Terra Water, but Emolga doesn't count because Emolga sucks. Sorry, Emolga fans. Although, I have seen Emolga used to check a gap base before, so there you go. Anyway, yeah, my team is just ridiculously aggressive. I may think blissfully aggressive, but teleport my leads. Medi is broken, I think, arguably. Pult is ridiculous, also arguably broken, and yeah, this seems just going to do work. But we're talking about this matchup today, and here we've got a few things that we're going to try and take advantage of. The first is Pult. Pult is my win con. Well, one of two win cons. Shadow Ball, Draco, Thunderbolt, U-turn, hits everything. In fact, the first two just Shadow Ball hits everything. Honestly, apart from Terra Dark Skeledirge, which Draco is mostly for. It also does things like guaranteeing the Unco against Garchomp, but it's mostly just for Dirge. Thunderbolt is a mid-ground for Prim and Torn and Mel and Weavile and all these things. It hits them all, so if lots of things are chip, I can be clicking Thunderbolt on the Switch and not have to predict at all, because Chomp ain't coming in. Although Chomp will come in on the choice of Thunderbolt, so, you know, I'm not looking to click it much. Mega Medi, Close Combats and Headbutt, Rock Slide, Trailblaze. This is dual stab, which again melts the whole team, because Medi's just that ridiculous. And the thing that might try and be difficult is Revenge Killers, right? Revenge Killers is how you generally do a Medi. You don't wall it. You can't wall it. So I've got Trailblaze for that. I could have Fake Out or Bullet Punch, but I'm using Lele, and I don't really want to do that. I'm quite happy with Trailblaze, because if I come Trailblaze, I can get in on something weakened, like Prim. Prim, I think, will do like 70% of the Trail. Medicham versus Primarina. That one. Trailblaze keeps doing Pure Power. Telepathy, not Pure Power. Trailblaze doing 60%, to a pretty bulky Prim. So, yeah, you can see that Medi can set up that Trailblaze, and once it's faster, it takes away all the Revenge Killer options. Nothing like taking hits from Medi. Case in point, Tornado Therian, Defog set, Rock Slide is almost a guaranteed KO, which is crazy. It's a Torn. And even if you want like a bit of defense investment, and I don't know why I'm doing a specific number, it's almost like I have hindsight, it's doing a lot, right? So yeah. Corv is my Mel check. Corv checks Mel. Simple as. It checks Weavile to an extent. It doesn't like banded Weavile, but it will check it. I think SD boosted Axel does a ton. Corv, Weavile, triple Axel. Yeah, +2 Axel. I mean, granted, they're taking tons of helmet, but if they're pads, then they're pads, you know? And so I have to be careful with my health. If they're Life Orb, then any chip and I couldn't fall into Axel range. Which, again, they will take tons of chip from the They will fall below 50%, I think. But they will kill my Corv. And after that, Mel Metal is crazy. So, in my opinion, kind of worth a trade. Or at least worth considering, anyway, depending on how the game goes. But yeah, other than that, Body Press is the best move for me. Anything that does Body Press doesn't hit, I'm wanting to U-turn out on anyway. So I don't really care. Roost is obviously mandatory. And Iron Defense is because I'm respecting Acid Armor Mel. Acid Armor Body Press Mel is one of my favourite sets. Just in general, so I would not be too surprised to see it come. I always hope it does, because I love that set. And because I beat it. It's better than Banned for me. Banned is the worst set. Because if they predict right with Banned, because the thing is, if they ban Thunder Punch me, they do about half, over half, I think. I think it depends on the roll. I can then go into Crypt after that if I want to. But the thing is, then Corviknight can't take another one. And then when Mel comes in, it's all just a prediction game, right? Milo is a decent interim slowdown option, but yeah, it's not good. It's not good. So I want Corp to be able to do that all itself if it can, which I hope it can. I'll come back to Crook. Milo is here almost exclusively for Chomp. Bit for Prim. It takes hits from non Spectrum. It totally loses to Calm Mind. It totally loses to Sub-Calm Mind. Sub-Calm Mind is a huge problem for me. I won't lie. My best plan against Sub-Calm Mind is probably just to go Meatball and spam Side Shock. And then when I'm killed, the sub will be gone and I can Trailblaze and Medi and get some momentum back. But I'm really hoping that's not the set. I mean, I can see Scar. Scar's a pretty good set. It doesn't have to be Pole, but it's still good. Also Specs, also all sorts of stuff. So yeah, I could see that. What else are we going to talk about? Oh yeah, no Haze. No Haze, even though it's for SD Mega Chomp. Basically, Mega Guard Chomp is a filthy mon. It's utterly disgusting. I hate it. Firstly, I want to show you this. A Fire Blast from uninvested Mega Chomp has a good chance to 2-hit KO Golf. Uninvested Jolly. That is bonkers, in my opinion. Right, this is the other thing. Milotic here, +2 Jolly Mega Chomp has a very small chance of killing Milo. Now, I'm assuming it doesn't in practice, right? It won't matter if I put those extra 4 EVs in, the robs will change. What I'm thinking is if Chomp is in on Milo, I'm not hazing, I'm clicking Ice Beam, right? Because I want to get damage off of it. If they Earthquake, then they'll probably kill me. If they want to Scale Shot, then they are risking getting like a 2-hit Scale Shot and then a haze on them, right? So I don't think Scale Shot's the play, I think they're cute. And then after that I can Revenge it Crook. I mean, even at +1, Crook I think takes a hit and I can heal it and I can do all sorts of shit, so that's kind of my Chomp plan, but Chomp is really a big threat. I'm really relying on keeping momentum. Crook is kind of around for that purpose. I should say, by the way, you may have noticed, Adamant on Medi, Adamant on Lele, and not max speed on Crook, despite the fact that Crook and Chomp speed tie. Basically, all three of them are crept for Adamant / modest / mild Chomp, non-speed boosting Chomp, because I think that's what they're likely to bring. Because I think that they will see more benefit in the damage from that than they will the speed boost, because I expect Scale Shot. I think they're going to try and sweep me. SC Scale Shot is perfectly plausible. SC without Scale Shot would be a bit odd, but I could see it because they do need rocks and it's their only rocker. And yeah, I vote Devo further, by the way, because I'm not afraid of rocks, to be honest, and I also think that, I mean, Chomp's not going to get many free turns because I'm going to be aggressive against it. So yeah, if it wants to spend a turn getting rocks up, that's better than it attacking for me. But yeah, that's Crook. Crook is also there for the Weavile. Life of Weavile, if they Sword Stance and kill something, if Crook comes in, Crook can take a +1 Life of Ice Shot, I believe. I don't know if it has to be Jolly or Adamant, I'm almost afraid to check. I will check for the sake of your lovely viewing experience. Crocodile, let's have a look. Ice Shard, yeah, it does live Ice Shard from Jolly, and it's a, not ideal, but it is a roll from Adam. It's a fine roll, right? But I mean, yeah, this is assuming a Life Orb. It's SD, which is really, really unlikely. They're much more likely to Boots SD or Choice Band. So yeah. Right, then we're gonna have a look at Lele. Lele, I am super strong Scarf. If Crook's not on this team, I'm running Scarf Lele. Because I need a Scarf to hit it, obviously. We've lost there. And the thing with Scarf Lele is it does threaten everything that it stabs, and Melmetal honestly takes quite a lot from Psychic, but I'm running Side Shock for Bloking anyway. But it takes a lot from Focus Blast, right? Max HP Mel dies to Axel Bounce Boost and Focus Blast from Lele. It takes 86 min from leftovers, Focus Blast from Lele. Now granted, it's probably going to have some death, but I'm more worried about... I just need to hit it reliably for good damage, right? I can't let it just switch on me for free, because though Corv does check it well, it's not ideal because Corv can itself be exploited more easily than other mods. It's free entry for Skeleton, for example. So yeah, Protect is 2 Scout, choice Mel, and choice to anything, to be honest. It's also good with leftovers, but I changed my mind for leftovers at the last second. But yeah, basically if Mel comes in, and Mel it's Chopper or something, so it moves, or AV maybe, I Protect, burn 1 double iron bash, go to Corviknight, burn 2 more double iron bashes. I only do that a couple times, and all of a sudden I can PP store them super easily, thanks to the wonderful thing that is pressure. And that is part of my plan for Mel. Also, as I say, if it's the body press Asperma stuff, I can deal with that. But yeah, that's the team. I want to get through this because I've done this recording so many times. It's 10 minutes we've spent on the team. Let's get into it. And we look at the team, and it's like, jeepers, where the fuck is the Weavile? The answer to that is it's not here. Which is crazy to me, because, not crazy as in my opponent's insane, but like it's surprising. Because for me, Weavile is by far the most dangerous thing to my team. That and Chop. Weavile is such a auto put in that I feel like my opponent must have had some reason for taking it out, right? And so they must have some other general revenge killing option. They must have things bulkier than I expect, because otherwise Polt's going to run through this, right? Dirge is not Dark type yet. It will Terra Dark, but it is not Dark type yet. We've not been here confirms it's Terra Dirge, if it wasn't obvious already. But my plan was always to lead with Polt. I do lead with Polt, and they lead with Prim. Now, I check the speed. Prim max 240, I am 383. If they're Scarf, they still do not outspeed me. I do get a free U-turn. I get to see what they're going to do. So why not, really? I'm thinking, what the hell do I go into? And I do some calcs, and I'm like, okay, I just need to see what Milo can do against this. By the way, that U-turn, 10%, that told me it was max HP. Max HP, no defense, or some other weird set, right, but equivalent to max HP on the physical side. They fire for Moonblast, very respectable hit, 30%. That means they are themselves not invested effectively, right? And there you can see why going to my lotto would have been terrible if it was Specs, right? If they'd let Specs permanently Polt, then that is the worst possible lead scenario. But they're not Specs, so we're happy. They get leftovers back, and here's the thing, I think they're expecting Toxic or some sort of shittery. They can't really touch me. I have seen this guy on my opponent's pastes, because he sent them to me in the post-game chat, but I can't remember what this thing had in terms of other moves, so yeah. Anyway, I expect them to switch. If they stay in, I can do other shit, because I know it's just max HP. I know Meta Champ is doing like 80%, so I can maybe threaten them out with that. But they do switch out into Glow King, and I get a lovely little flip turn off. 9% means this thing is Fizz Death, and Rocky Helmet means that it's the medic check, which, you know, is good to know for sure. Both of those things, however, tell me that there is no Spin-F investment on this thing. And if you know anything about how to use Dragapult, then you will know that you will welcome this. I obliterate this thing, right? So there is no other option, there's no second choice, and there's nothing even resistant at this point. Weavile didn't come, Skeleton hasn't Terra yet. I'm getting a free kill on something. My opponent just chooses what they're going to sack. This is the power of Polt. They go into the Prim, I Terra Ghost. This thing is like, in the pace off, it was max HP, something like 170 spin FEs. And then like the rest of special attack modest, I think it was. Or something like that. That does a stupid amount of damage. I calculated this in the game, it's about 120 spin F calm. It was crazy. Anyway, I'll switch out to Dirge because it's obviously going to be Dark type. Something I should say, because it isn't totally obvious from here, is the reason I went to Milo. Because I'm not in the habit of giving up momentum just because I got a kill, right? If this was the lead matchup, if this was just some turn, right, I would be considering things like Crook. Because Crook, it's like, oh yeah, you're going to take a Torch Shot, you definitely take a Shadow Ball, and you get Rocks Up, right? Getting Rocks Up is awesome. Because certain stuff like Chomp, Glow King, and Mel Metal are never going to run boots. If this thing's Terra Dark, it's probably not boots too. So I'm getting lots of chip from that, and it's really good. Alternatively, I can just go into it and click Knockoff. Knockoff's good on anything. So Yeah. I mean, other than Trump, but you know. Anyway, but then I'm starting to think, hang on a minute. They know I'm specs because they know how to use a damage calculator. They obviously know I'm switching because they know I know they're Terra Dark. And they could easily just be packing Willow. And Willow is a super safe move, which completely nullifies any kind of crook or medi stuff I'm trying to pull. It even invalidates core with the switch, so I kind of have to win my way. Which is unfortunate, but yeah. Anyway, they sub, which was a thing I did not expect to see from us. I did not expect sub Dirge. And at this point I'm thinking, okay, well it's sub, slack off, offensive move, and something else, right? Either stab, that being Torch, Song, or Shadow Ball, and something else. Could be Hex, with Willow, right? But if it's sub with Hex Willow, that'd be a bit weird, defensive Pokemon. So if it's sub, it's probably Torch Song, okay? I do some calcs, I do them wrong. I'll show you what I did. I had Skeledirge, and at this point I'm assuming it's fully split out, because it wants to take hits from Big Daddy Chomp. And I've got Terra Dark, and I pop that on. And basically, I have Milo and my calc. And Scald looks like it almost always breaks the sub, right? And if it doesn't break the sub, then I'm going to reflect it. Basically, because I've just been calculating with Terra Pod, it keeps Terra on for some reason. This is actually the Scald calc. So this is why I made a mistake. Basically, they Torch Song me like 10% or do nothing. And I Scald, and I do not break the sub. When I see that, I'm like, okay, because I'm looking at this calc. I'm like, okay, they must be absolutely maximum SPDF. This means no other EVs anywhere else I've got to worry about, which is obviously something that is nice, because something like speed, it's nice to be able to bank on your opponent's Pokemon not having speed investment, so I thought I was sure of that. But of course that was not actually the case, and it did that. I then went for the play of, well, if it's alive, I can flip 10 into Mega Medi, and that still works with this. Even with 2 min rolls, I still do over 25%. So that play was still sound, but I did miscalculate the wrong. I also should have recovered here. I should have recovered this turn, because a +2 Torch Song does only about 20% to melee, and I was just giving up free HP. I would have been at 80% going out here, had I done that. But anyway, went into Medicham, and at this point I am obviously outspeeding, because it's not Choice Scarf. And I am threatening close combat. Now, this Skeledirge is super important, and these are the kind of 50-50s that people are like, oh, you made a good prediction, but it's literally just experience and practice. It's literally just, I've been in this situation 100 times before, this is what they do 85% of the time, and so you make the read based on that, right? You can't follow that every time, sometimes the risk is not worth it, but, you know, we'll come to that later. Anyway, I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, okay, well, these three all take stupid damage from CC. These three are not switches. The only thing that is Gloaking, and we've seen that Gloaking is the Medi Switch because it is Fizz-Def and it has Rocky Helmet. It's obviously the Medi Switch. Skeledirge absolutely cannot die at this stage of the game. While Pult is alive, Skeledirge cannot die, because Skeledirge is the only thing stopping Pult getting a kill every single time it comes in. Skeledirge doesn't even completely step back, instead just takes a ton from Draco. The fully SPDF set that I thought it was, and which, spoiler, it is pretty SPDF, but it's more like this, takes a ton from Dragapult Draco. It takes a ton. But even this set dies to 2. If your roll is decent and if there's any prior chip, which look at me, there is. So yeah, I knew this thing was switching. So I made a perhaps a little ballsy read of clicking Zen Headbutt, because I was very confident. And looky here, in comes Big Slowking to take a huge Zen Headbutt. That is fully Fizz-Def. That is fully Fizz-Def. Slowking Galar. Let me show you. Medicham. That's give me pure power. Fully Fizz-Def Mega Cloaking, and that was a min roll too. Now at this turn, I'm thinking, right, well I've made that read, I've got huge damage off. I've not guaranteed a kill on the Slowking because of Regenerator. What they could do here, and what I think they should do, is, because I can't risk, I don't want to switch out because just let them slack off, because that would undo that progress I just made, and I took Rocky Helmet chip that I cannot recover. I also don't want to read the Mel metal, because something they could do to get themselves out of the situation without needing to sack something is go Mel on the Zen headbutt and then double back into soaking on the close combat. Basically what this means is if it's pulled off, then Mel takes a bit of chip, but they at best get soaking in Zen headbutt range, and after another round of helmet chip, and they force me out because they can just spam slack off. At worst, I predict it again and they get an extra round of helmet chip. I think this was a no-brainer, and that's why I think that my opponent misplayed. Unless they were terrified I was going to predict the Mel metal switch. But they did say it and let Porkchop get the kill. So that was pretty big. I've done some massive breaking. We're 9 turns in, and I've got 2 kills on 2 really, really key defensive Pokemon. The only one that's stopping Reddy, and the only one that's stopping Draco from Dragon Ball. Really. Because Draco on Mel still does about 35-40 if it's max HP. Which again, I'm not expecting max HP, I'm expecting some spin off, but I'm just giving you an idea. Anyway, on the Medi comes in Torn, and Torn, it's a pretty obvious Hurricane, right? Is the thing. I'm not risking my Medi because it's my best way of killing Dirge. Dirge is a nightmare. So I'm not risking that, right? I've got a few switching options, right? I've got Milo, but Milo is low. Milo will die to Hurricane plus knockoff if they are. I think if they're offensive, they die to that, and if they're defensive, then to Roll, right? Don't forget things like Confusion can also fuck me over. And also I will get knocked off, so I won't have my leftovers to help me check Chop, which I'm already struggling to do because I'm super weak. Well, allow it. Secondly, we have Corviknight, but I don't know what this Tornado's set is. This thing could easily have Heat Wave. If I'm playing a Corviknight with a Torn, I'm probably going to Heat Wave. You know, if I can fit it. Now, arguably my opponent can't fit it, because if we go back on his squad, we look down here, 3 Defoggers, he only brought 1 of them. It's probably Defog Torn. That said, he didn't bring any Stealth Rock Pokemon except for Torn, and Torn runs Boots most of the time, right? So he could have just gone without Defog. Very plausibly. Now, Hazard Set is not even that good. I've got Blissey and Crook on Rocks, and that's it. But the thing is, people also tend to automatically put Boots on Sword. It feels weird putting leftovers on or something. Anyway, it's forcing me out, and I'm looking through my team and I'm like, okay, well, it's forcing me out really obviously, so a knockoff is a really decent play, because I am forced to switch, as I say, and if I go something like Lele, I will take less than half from a Hurricane, but I'm also... I could lose my item, which is really annoying. I also give free switch to Mel, and if Mel is Vulcan, I think, or it's Chopper, or it's, you know, I could lose a Mom, so I don't really want to do that. Although I do realise that in this situation, unless I play perfectly, or they don't have the right set, I'm probably losing a Mom. So the thing I decided to do in the end is go to Crook, because I'm thinking if they U-turn, at least it's intimidated. They could miss the Hurricane. Hurricane doesn't do that much, it does about 55. If they're defensive, it does about 60-70 if they're offensive. So I'm not too worried. So I go into the Crook and I knock in front of them with a Scarf knockoff in return. They land the Hurricane and they crit, which sucks. It really sucks. Because this means that the knockoff I was going to go for, if they go into Chomp, Ruskin will take me down to 4%, meaning that I will die to Stealth Throw. And I don't know if Defog, remember. Also, if they go to Chomp, they can stay non-Mega and they can Scale Shot if they want to, or they can Mega, lose a Ruskin, and then Scale Shot. And so they can stay non-Mega and Rock as I knock again, because I'm forced to, really. And if I switch out, then I'm dead to switch anyway, you know? So, it's a tricky one. I think that Chomp is the play here, personally. They may not think I'm Scarf, but Crook is always Scarf, man. Although, at this point, they may have still been thinking it's Scarf Lele, because I have been hiding it, I've not been bringing it in, so they could have been. Anyway, I get my knockoff off on the Torn, get rid of the Boots, which is big. Oh, and by the way, that Hurricane, that was no special attack investment. That knockoff, that was max HP. I saw that as max HP. But they Hurricane, and yeah. Guess who Torn is now in range of? Dragapult. Because Dragapult, something that I'm constantly trying to do this game, or I was trying to do throughout the game. I didn't actually do all of it. Was I was trying to get Torn and Shadow Bridge, because that is just such an easy way to force kills and force damage. However, this bitch is still alive, Skeledirge, and that means they have a Shadow Bridge switch, and they don't want to let Torn go. Torn is the fastest thing on the team. After Chop Megavolts, it's the only thing faster than Medi. Faster than Lele, which is huge, right? They need that for revenge killing. Torn cannot go. And even if Torn does stay in, well, you'll see, I click that Draco button, because they don't live a Draco anyway. I kill something no matter what, and if they go into Dirge, I cripple it, and then it's in range of the second Draco. Right? Even on my max speed F set, which was wrong. So, I just go for the Draco. It's a complete safe play. I'm not afraid of Mel. Mel's not switching over Shadow Ball. That's madness. And yeah, I get the Draco off in Dirge. I do 80%, which is more than I thought, and it's how I realised that the Skeledirge set I had was wrong. Because I had been, again, assuming it was max speed F up to this point. Terror Dark. Yeah. So I've been assuming max F, but that couldn't be, because it took 8% more than the max roll, you know? Like I say, it was about this. It was about this in the end. But I didn't know that, so I'm thinking, okay, how the hell can they have that much speed F? But then also take that much. Like, what? Do they have a weird item or something? Or I don't know. And then I went back and all the thing. Something I did miss though in this game, which annoyed me a bit in hindsight, is this turn right here. These two turns. Skeledirge outspeeding Milotic. Because Milotic is deceptively fast. My Milotic no speed investment is 198 speed. That is fast for a Skeledirge. That's over 100 dBs. My Corviknight has 56 speed in dBs and sits at 184 speed, so it's quite a bit slower than Milotic. Bear that in mind. Anyway, I Draco me to the Skeledirge and I take 80% off it, and I'm thinking, hell yes, this thing cannot switch into Pult anymore. I could switch out, predicting the switch to Mel, but the most important thing is that I do not let this thing slack off. I just have to keep clicking buttons. I'm in a really strong position. I do not fear Melmetal because I've got the Corviknight. So I'm just going to stay in, and I am just going to go for the Draco. They do preserve the Dirge, and they go into the Melmetal, and I do unfortunately crit them, which does a lot. Now you may think 56% is a lot for a resisted hit against something like Melmetal. But I want to show you something, which is part of my Dragapult propaganda, right? Crit Draco on this. We'll show max HP actually. We'll show max HP. Crit Draco against max HP Mel does 65 to 77 on Specs Pult. That is way less. So they have to be pretty speed F. Max speed F Adamant is 47.4 to 55. This did 46. And it rounds up, so it has to be 55 point something or 46. It's nothing. So they are careful Melmetal. They are careful Melmetal with about at least this amount of use. Sorry. Meaning they don't have much attack, and as we see in a second here, it is leftovers Melmetal. I am not afraid of this thing at all. Not at all. Corviknight comes in on this thing and absolutely bodies it. Regardless of the crit, I don't care. They Iron Defense, and I'm thinking, thank you. I love this. Because the Iron Defense means that Corv will dominate this. It will bully this. This thing cannot do shit to me. And so yeah, I Iron Defense it myself to match that boost, and they Thunder Punch, and they do an embarrassment amount of damage because they barely have any investment, they're not even adamant. And I have a defense boost. And we both start Iron Defensing up. I should say, on the turn after he Thunder Punched me and I revealed the Iron Defense, he took about 2 or 3 minutes to do. Like, this dude was scratching his head. He did not know what to do. Yeah, we just both Iron Defense up, get up to +6 defense, and then we start clicking Body Press. And here's something I'm a little conflicted on, right? Because I kill with this Body Press here. Because I'm doing 30 off, 31. I'm not that healthy. I am actually... Let me find it. I love damage count. I hope you do too, because otherwise you're probably getting very bored. Corviknight. Special offensive Mega Garchomp does kill Corviknight. If it's max special attack, then it does 65 min, I'm at 66. I'm in range of Mega Garchomp at this point. So I'm thinking, okay, do I roost up? In retrospect, maybe I should have, but the thing is, if I roost and Body Press is doing double, because of course it's I lose my flying typing, and if I try and spam roost and kill them with Helmet, I am risking a crit. And if this thing, even at this low HP, actually at this low HP it's more manageable, but I don't want to risk the crit, you know? I really don't want to risk the crit. So I just go for the Body Press. I just go for the Body Press, I just kill them out. There's an argument to be made that I should have been healing there, but I reject that argument. In comes Skeledirge, and I'm thinking, excuse me? What are you doing? I outspeed you naturally. You're really Spadef. How you can't outspeed me? I even have speed investment and I outspeed you naturally. This fucker outspeeds me and gets a Torch Song off. This is all because I missed this earlier on Milo. Here. The Skeledirge outspeeding Milo. Had I noticed that, then I would not have body pressed it. I would have used it. Because body pressing here invites in a revenge killer, right? Because Corv is weak, right? But had I U-turned, I go into Lele, and I win the game basically. Because if I go into Pult, right? I thought about this in the last recording I did, and I'm going to summarize it a little bit. If I go into Pult, and then they will go into Taunt. Because if they go into Garchomp, I outspeed my Draco. They will have to go into Taunt. Taunt? Oh, does Taunt live actually? 33% back from 52 is... yeah, 86%, 85%. It will live a Shadow Ball. And I think it'll live a Draco too. Does it live a Draco? Wait, no, I couldn't... okay. Are you kidding me? No, I closed my calc. Please come back. Please come back. Okay. Well, basically, what was I doing? Basically, if I go for the Draco, I get the special attack drop and Garchomp can set up, right? And that's not something you want in your attack. 87.8, yeah, okay, so Draco would have killed the Taunt. If I Shadow Ball, then they U-turn. On the Taunt. Actually, I can explain it in a second, because that essentially happens in the moment. We're essentially in that same situation in the moment, because he goes in the Taunt and he revenges and kills this. Which, by the way, if they Hurricane there, they risk that accuracy for a huge chip on Taunt. I'm talking about 60%, which is game-winning chip. Especially for Lele's perspective. Because if I got that, and if I was Scarf Lele, which at this point I'm on reveal, I could very well be, then I just win the Moonblast. So that was a huge risk from them. And it tells me they did not have a more accurate move that killed, i.e. no Heat Wave, i.e. not Nasty Block, which is going to matter later, trust me. Matter a little bit, not a lot. Anyway, they go for the Hurricane, and they kill Corv. What happens is I could have gone Pult. I could have gone Pult, I could have gone for Draco, and it would have killed the Taunt, and then Chomp's in, and then Chomp is probably going to start clicking the Earthquake. Because they could Scale Shot, but Lele's going to go, right? They have to Earthquake, and at that point, maybe at that point I live if I win if Pult comes in and Draco. Maybe they have to Scale Shot. I don't know. If I Shadow Ball, then Pult U-turns and goes into Chomp, and similar things will happen. I don't know what would have happened actually, but I don't regret doing what I did, but just going into Lele. And Lele, I mean, I'm looking at the situation here, I think I'm just going to go for Side Shock. It's terrain boosted. Switching would be weird, because again, I don't know my item, I could just Moonblast, so I don't think they're going to switch. They knock off, they get a crit, it doesn't matter, because I'm still out of Hurricane range. And they knock off my E-Belt. And this is where I don't get what my opponent did. They knocked me off first and foremost, and they saw I was expert out, so they know I'm obviously not choice dodged. I go for the Side Shock, it does quite a lot. We don't take the counts first, but it do quite a lot. It's in Moonblast range, obviously. It's in Moonblast range. My opponent has to sack Taunt. Because there is absolutely no function that Taunt... There's nothing Taunt can do. Torn, if you switch out into Chomp, I kill it. If they stay in with Torn, they get chip on it, and that could make a difference with non-Mega Chomp, right? Because they're faster. This is why I should have gone fucking Timid, even if I expected out of it, because of non-Mega Chomp. But yeah, they had to Hurricane here. They had to Hurricane or Knock or something. They just could not switch. Psychic, honestly, Defog is not the worst idea in the world if they want to get rid of the terrain. I don't think it does anything, but it's better than what they did, which was they took U-turn. And there, in that instant, they threw the whole game. They were losing up until that point, but this makes no sense, because I had no reason to ever go for anything other than Moonblast, and they threw their Chomp in front of it and it died. Like, I don't understand why you do that, unless he was really just going for the Regenerator. But I mean, Psyshock is pretty close to killing this as well, I mean, depending on rolls. It might not have done anything, and I think it's in Hurricane range now? But anyway, at this point I was feeling a little greedy. And I'm thinking, I can't diff, you know? And I'm looking things up, and I know that this is max HP Torn. I know this is max HP Tornadoes. And so I look at my Lotic, and I'm like, oh damn, Milo takes the Hurricane pretty well. If I get a recover off, I just beat this thing with Skull nicely. Not a problem. And then I'm like, okay, so I could sack lane into it and get a 3-0, or I could risk a 4-0. But worst I get is a 3-0, because if I try something and it fails, I go Milo and win, no matter what, right? So I'm thinking, well, yeah, they could just Hurricane. Hurricane will kill me. However, they may be thinking, I live the Hurricane. They're not winning the game because they're in Shadowball range. They're in Shadowball range. They've lost, right? If they just kill Lele here. So if they go for 2 knocks, what that does is it means I can't go into something else for diff. Most people would not even do that thing for diff because it's kind of mad, it's a bit greedy. But I wasn't sure if they were going to go for the Hurricane or the knockoff. I wasn't sure. So I brought out the tech. I brought out Protect. And I scouted and I went to Hurricane. And I'm like, oh, they'll probably go for it again. So I went into my Dragon Ball, risked a knockoff, which would have made Shadow Ball not kill after Specs. Because I went Specs, and then I Spec Shadow Ball it. And that is a laugh, it wasn't golf, but it wasn't anguish. Everyone was like, oh my god, you nearly threw it. I mean, I didn't risk it all, I still won, because, as I say, Milo beat it. I mean, I could have thrown the Confusion. Hurricane Confusion could have done it. But yeah, so I'll go for Diff moment. I've lost playoffs to Diff a few times, so yeah. Milo lived a Hurricane. They were like, Tom could have plotted. I really don't think it was plot. No special attack, no special attack investment, nasty pot Torn, without Heat Wave. I mean, that's just weird, you know? With knockoff alone is weird on nasty pot. And as it transpires, my opponent did have, what's it called? Let me find out the post. They had Defog. They sent me the paste after the game. And yeah, they had Defog. They did have loads of speed on Skeleton. I just did my counter. But yeah, this was the thing. That was a bulky ass print that actually just opened apart, which is crazy. And guess what? They had speed boosting chop. So don't do what I do. Don't just mindlessly and aggressively creep things, because sometimes your opponent will do things that are quote-unquote suboptimal, but because of what you do, you make it optimal. That happens quite a bit, and honestly more times than I act like it does. They didn't have SD, so I was probably, I don't know, they get a scale shot off, it's bad, but I mean I could always go to lane, I block the scale shot, force them to kill me, go ult. But if that happened early game, it would have been really bad. Chomp was actually a menace in the early game, and I think that if Chomp had come out more in the early game, it would have been terrible for him. But yeah, that is it for this game. I don't have anything to say on that, except if you want to see more OBS, I will be uploading it, and tell me why you think Aborted is an amazing Dragapult name, because I think it's a perfect Dragapult name, frankly. But yeah. That is enough all for this battle. I have something else to say on the channel, because you may have noticed I've not uploaded in a while. The only league I was uploading up till this point was Lumio's Draft League. That league is not dead, that league is not gone. Basically, my Week 5 opponent was not responding to me, and so they actually ended up dropping out of the league. Then when week 6 rolled around, the replacement hadn't come in yet. So I had my week 5 and 6, but that week was extended over Christmas. So my week 5 and 6 games are due on New Year's Day. So, with a bit of luck, I will have 2 games coming up to you. One of them against a close friend of mine, before New Year's. Or maybe I'll upload them after, but I'll have recorded them. So, hopefully you'll stick around for that. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded, but I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to Terran Ghost Pulp because it's just a beast, as is Close Combat Metachamp. But that is all for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Peace.